Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the G7 summit in Canada. According to reports, this has rattled misguided Khalistanis who say the Canadian Prime Minister has betrayed and sidelined them. But the message to Khalistanis as well as their sponsors sitting inside Pakistan is loud and clear. No one is buying their anti-India propaganda. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney explained his personal invite to the Indian Prime Minister, stating, quote, India is the fifth largest economy in the world, effectively the most populous country in the world, central to a number of these supply chains, at the heart of a number of these supply chains. So it makes sense, unquote. On the other hand, countries including Pakistan and Turkey were not invited. Truth is, Pakistan is irrelevant on the international stage and only gains relevance by stoking border tensions with India. Veena Najibullah, Vice President of the Asia Pacific Foundation in Canada, claims all other G7 nations demanded India's presence.
Because the other 6 members of the G7 are interested in deepening their strategic partnerships with India.
Stating, quote, in terms of the G7, we are the outlier because other 6 members of the G7 are interested in deepening their strategic partnership with India, deepening their defense technology and economic ties. In fact, every day there is a new announcement about either France or UK or US doing more with India, unquote. Accepting Canadian Prime Minister's invitation to the G7 summit, Prime Minister Modi highlighted on platform X how his visit will be particularly aimed at resetting ties with Canada. Prime Minister Modi mentioned, quote, as vibrant democracies bound by deep people-to-people ties, India and Canada will work together with renewed vigor, guided by mutual respect and shared interests. Look forward to our meeting at the summit, unquote. This even as Canadian Sikh groups, fueled by Pakistani backing, ramp up their anti-India agenda. But they forget, even the Indian Air Force Chief is a Sikh, and so was a former Prime Minister. So no one is buying the Khalistani agenda. Moreover, they have a greater chance of creating a Khalistan in Canada, or if they want to be historically accurate, then creating Khalistan inside Pakistan rather than India. Global media has been buzzing after the G7 invite to Prime Minister Modi, which signals a diplomatic and strategic victory for New Delhi. This even as relations with Canada hit rock bottom last year after former Prime Minister Trudeau's outrageous claims over India's involvement in Niger's elimination, for which neither Trudeau nor Canada ever provided any proof. Trudeau's accusations were aimed to garner votes from the misguided Khalistani extremists. Even Hardeep Nijjar's own son, Balraj Nijjar, confessed his father's killing was exploited for personal gain by Khalistanis like Pannoon.
It's kind of difficult to understand if someone's acting as dad's friend or if they want to just use it for their betterment.
Now, this would mark Prime Minister Modi's first visit to the country after 2015. The event will be attended by member nations, United States, United Kingdom, France, Italy, Japan and Germany. It will give Prime Minister Modi an opportunity to meet global leaders for the first time since Indian military's Operation Sindoor, in which 9 terror headquarters were neutralized inside Pakistan. Global terror masterminds behind journalist Daniel Pearl's abduction as well as Kandahar airplane hijack were eliminated by Indian military strikes inside Pakistani territory. Prime Minister Modi is expected to meet US President Donald Trump after ties downgraded due to the tariff havoc, as well as repeated assertions by Trump that he mediated to end the 4-day conflict between India and Pakistan, a claim denied by the Indian Ministry of External Affairs. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who will be present in Canada, is expected to hold the meeting with Prime Minister Modi after the two nations signed a landmark free trade agreement just last month. Quad partner Australia, as well as leaders of BRICS nations, Brazil and South Africa, are also expected to be special invitees at the G7 summit. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, as well as Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, are among the other non-member world leaders invited to the G7. The move signals a major diplomatic win for India as well as a reassertion of India's central role. Experts reveal how there was a strong push by other 6 members of the G7 who were all interested in deepening their strategic partnership with India. So after facing immense backlash by 6 separatists for inviting Prime Minister Modi, Canadian PM Mark Carney defended his decision. He declared how it is crucial for some nations to be present at the high table. Praising India's stature as one of the biggest global economies, he added, quote, "Bilaterally, we have now agreed importantly to continued law enforcement dialogue, so there's been some progress. I extended the invitation to Prime Minister Modi in that context and he has accepted," unquote. Canada's Prime Minister also declined to comment on questions over any involvement in Niger incident. Reports in India had blamed inter-gang rivalry inside Canada. On the other hand, India has been demanding Canada crack down on Khalistani extremist elements, as numerous Hindu temples, Indian consulates and events have been regularly attacked by such hooligans inside Canada. Carney railing about India comes at a time when certain Sikh fringe groups and Khalistani radicals expressed anger over his invitation to Prime Minister Modi. One of them even released a provocative video threatening to ambush Modi politics from landing to takeoff, announcing a series of protests to coincide with Prime Minister Modi's visit. What's interesting is that Pakistani flags can be seen waving with the Khalistani flag, clearly showing how Pakistani intelligence agencies are behind these rogue elements and anti-India displays. For these extremists, the assassins of former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi are martyrs. Khalistani extremists were also behind the 1985 Air India bombing, which remains Canada's worst air disaster. Still, Canada continues to provide space to these separatists, leading to strained ties with the world's largest democracy. But what exactly went wrong between India and Canada? Now, India-Canada relations have been on a downside and reached a boiling point when Trudeau accused India of having a hand behind the murder of Khalistani separatist leader Hardeep Nijjar. India's foreign ministry rejected all these accusations, even as Trudeau administration blamed an Indian diplomat for being a person of interest in the Nijjar investigation. India in turn expressed concerns about the safety of its diplomats amid rising extremism inside Canada. However, when Trudeau was grilled during a public inquiry, he made a startling confession about how Canada never had any hard evidentiary proof in 2023 to support these damning allegations made against Indian officials. Basically, Trudeau was parroting anti-India conspiracy theories peddled by certain Khalistani groups motivated by vote bank politics. The diplomatic squabble blew out of proportion after continuing for over a year, with both countries expelling each other's top diplomats in a tit-for-tat move. However, with Trudeau gone and Khalistani sidelined, Prime Minister Carney's invitation to Prime Minister Modi is a sign that India-Canada relations can once again reset while focusing on progress and growth. But what do you believe? Is G7 invite a sign of India's central role today in global growth? Leave a comment with your opinion in the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.